Hi, this presentation is about diagnosing RVH, that is right ventricular hypertrophy in an ECG. Before going into the criteria, we'll have a look into the normal ECG. Normal ECG, you can see in the chest leads, that is precordial leads, the R wave amplitude increases from V1 to V6. The R wave increases in amplitude from V1 to V6. At the same time, S wave decreases in amplitude as we move from V1 to V6. The R wave increases whereas the S wave decreases. So that by the time we reach V5 and V6, the S wave becomes so small that it is negligible. This is one of the normal features. And the transition usually occurs in the V3 and V4. Transition is the zone where R and S more or less equals each other. So this is one thing. Next, the axis will be normal, that is lead 1 will show a positive QRS complex and AVF also will show a positive QRS complex, and AVR all the waves will be negative. These are the findings in a normal ECG. The first and foremost criteria to diagnose RVH is right axis, that is the axis should be equal to or more than 90 degree. As we have seen in the earlier presentation, to diagnose RVH right axis, the easiest method is the AVF will be positive and lead 1 will be negative. Like in this case, the QRS complex in AVF is predominantly positive and here it is negative. Though there is a positive component, the negative component is much more when compared to the positive component. So this is negative. So the patient has right axis. So the first criteria to say that the patient has RVH is the patient should have right axis deviation. There are three types of RVH: type A, type B and type C, which we will see in the later slides. In all these three, right axis is a must. There are numerous criteria. We'll go one by one. First criteria says that the presence of QR complex in V1, that is a small Q wave and a tall R wave. This is the first criteria. Next criteria, the R wave in V1 will be more than 7 millimeter. We have seen that the R wave will be very small in V1 and it gradually increases as we move from V1 to V6. But in case of RVH, the R wave in V1 itself will be very tall. That is, it will be more than or equal to 7 millimeter. Since the tall wave, R wave is tall, the S wave will be shorter. So the R by S ratio will be more than 1. And there's a terminology called intrinsicoid deflection, which I'll tell you later. And there can be just the presence of RS complex, that is a small r, and deep S complex, rather than the usual thought where the dominant R will be present. There is one form of RVH where the R wave will not be dominant. Instead, the S wave will be there, dominant S. That is, the patient will be having a small r and a deep S throughout the chest leads. That is, there will be no progression, which we say it as 4R wave progression. And one more feature is the S1, S2, S3 pattern. We have seen in the normal ECG that the S waves are negligible in the lead 1, lead 2 and lead 3. Whereas in case of RVH, you can get this pattern also, S1, S2, S3 pattern. To add more points to a diagnosis, patient may be having right atrial enlargement also, P pulmonale. Naturally, when there is right ventricular hypertrophy, the previous chamber gets enlarged, that is right atrial gets enlarged. So the patient will be having P pulmonale also. These are the various criteria that have been set in the textbooks. And this is the example for S1, S2 and S3 pattern. You can see that the lead 1 has S complex, S wave, and lead 2 also has a S wave, and lead 3 also have a S3, S wave. This is called as S1, S2, S3 pattern. Don't confuse this with S1, Q3, T3 pattern. S1, Q3, T3 pattern is seen in acute pulmonary embolism. Though it is not pathognomonic of acute pulmonary embolism, this is seen in pulmonary embolism. Here it is not S1, Q3, T3, it is S1, S2 and S3 pattern. These are some more criteria that are found in the internet. That is, R wave, as we said, in V1 will be more than 7 millimeter, and R by S ratio will be more than 1 in V1. The S wave in the lateral leads V5 and V6, and the R wave dominates in V1. The S wave will be dominant in the V5 and V6. It will be more than 10 millimeter in V5 and more than 3 millimeter in V6. The R wave in AVR will be more than 4 millimeter. We know that the R wave will be negative in case of AVR, but here the R wave will be positive, that is 4 millimeter. And the S wave in V1 will be very small. If it is less than 2 millimeter, it adds point to a diagnosis. So these are the numerous criteria, but the most commonly used are right axis, presence of right axis deviation, the R wave more than or equal to 7 millimeter in V1, and R by S ratio more than 1 in V1. This is a classical example of RVH. Here you can see that the patient has right axis and the dominant R. R in this patient comes to nearly 15 millimeter. So right axis is the dominant R, suspect RVH. There's one criteria which is rarely used. It is a Lewis criteria, which says that the sum of R1 and S3 and the sum of S1 plus R3, you have to subtract these things. If it is less than 15 millimeter, it indicates the patient has RVH. This is rarely used, and this need not be remembered. Just remember that there is a criteria called Lewis criteria to diagnose RVH. Coming to the types of RVH, there are 3 types of RVH: type A, type B, and type C. We have seen that right axis is a must for almost all the RVH. Apart from the right axis, there will be dominant R in V1. If there is dominant R in V1, the S wave will be dominant in V6. These are the normal things that we have seen previously. So type A RVH, here the patient will be having right axis and the dominant R and DPS. So all the classical findings will be seen in case of type A RVH. This type of RVH is seen in severe pulmonary stenosis, primary pulmonary hypertension, and MS with severe pulmonary hypertension. These are 3 conditions where you get type A RVH. Type B RVH, here also the patient will be having right axis deviation and a dominant R, but the S wave will not be that much deep in V5 and V6. So right axis deviation, dominant R in V1, but the S wave will not be deep as encountered in type A. This is type B RVH. This type is seen in ASD, atrial septal defect, and MS with mild to moderate pulmonary hypertension. MS with mild to moderate pulmonary hypertension will have type B RVH, and MS with severe pulmonary hypertension will have type A RVH. Coming to type C RVH, here the patient will have right axis deviation, but the R wave will not be dominant. Instead, there will be a small R and big S complex. You can see the big S complex, RS. So the patient will be having just RS complex. This is called as poor progression of R wave, otherwise called as clockwise rotation, because the transition has not yet occurred. So this is called as clockwise rotation. This rotation we will see in another presentation. And this type is classically seen in COPD patients. To sum up, RVH is relatively easy to diagnose in ECG. First thing is the patient will be having right axis deviation, along with it the dominant R, and the R will be more than 7 millimeter in V1. These are 3 things that should remember in diagnosing RVH. If you can remember all the 3 types of RVH, it is well and good. Thank you.